So we're gonna go and take a nighttime ride on this bike. So here we go. We're gonna do the sidewalk this time around since they opened up some of it. It gives you a better idea too how the bike handles and stuff like that. Now, as far as buying this bike and who it's made by, it's actually made by one of the 3 manufacturers that built the US versions of these bikes. I won't say exactly who and stuff like that, but you get them much cheaper pretty much for more instead of having to pay $3,000–4,000 and you're getting actually less, to be honest with you. So yeah, I highly recommend this bike. It's been a good bike, good frame. You know, some of the Chinese ones that I've seen that are made by third-party Chinese vendors and stuff like that are not as good or refined as this one is. This one here, it has the quality. You know, it has the ball bearings in the middle. They use the better motors on this one. You can see the light does a pretty good job, but we'll see it through the trail when it's pitch black. It'll get the job done pretty much and stuff like that. It's actually a pretty good bike for the money, and you're only paying 17 something and you're getting true 22 amp hours Samsung cells in it with 2 HX motors and stuff like that, which is better than the Bafane 750. Now I actually custom ordered it that way because the original one, the default one they have, they give you the option of getting the 2 Bafane 750s, and those Bafane 750s are actually better than what you even get on the Super 73, because those are real 750 watt ones versus the ones they put the 750 ones, because the 750 ones that the Super 73 gives you is actually a smarter stator and smaller magnets and stuff like that. And the real, well, I wouldn't say real one, Bafane actually has 2 of them. The version they put on this bike is actually one of the bigger stator and bigger motors if you want to order it, and that's the one that comes default is the 2 Bafane 750, or you can get the HX 1000 watt motors, which is what I went with. Now you also can too get actually a 52 volt battery upgrade too as well, and a 30 amp controller, which they do allow that option too as well. But on gear hubs, I didn't want to push it that hard, because usually when you start upping the voltage on gear hub motors, that's when they tend to fail and stuff like that. So I kind of kept that at the 48 volt, but you do have the option if you want to get the actual 52 volt battery. I didn't even think they got a 60 volt option too as well. So this is one of the major manufacturers that actually makes bikes for US manufacturers. What they do is they'll essentially order bikes to their specs, they'll put their branding on it, which you could also do with this company too if you actually want to put your name on it. They will for a few extra bucks, or if you want to you know, you could pretty much customize this bike the way you want to, with different batteries, different motor, even different frame. They got different frame styles, different seating types and everything else and stuff like that, because they essentially make for a lot of other manufacturers. So they're an OEM pretty much, and that's why I like this company. The other company I like too to deal with, which is pretty much the same like this company, is Yeasion, which is Y-O-L-I-N, I believe that's how you actually spell their company name though. But they also have an option too where, you know, same thing too, you could get different configurations and so forth. And here we have to go over here because they still got the poles they're putting over here. But here you go. We'll just jump this curve. But there you go. And like I said, this has been a really good bike. Haven't had no problems with it whatsoever. Like I could go like right now on the grass, go off curbs, go everything like that, and it handles very smoothly. But these are nubby tires, so of course it's gonna handle it pretty well. If you go with slicks, you probably don't want to go in and do this right now. But does it great. I haven't had no issues with this bike, at least as of now. Now I'll do an update when I get 1,000 miles on it, and update what broke, what didn't break, if anything broke, and pretty much how it is. But being the fact that I sold this bike to actually someone but different configuration, he went with the longer seat and stuff like that for someone. He got over 22 or 2,500 miles I believe on it, and so far the motor's held up. No issues with the controller or anything major, just brake pads and tires pretty much is what he did. And he actually added different pedals, I believe, because he wanted flat, wider pedals so his foot don't slip and stuff, so he changed that too on it. Now, I got nothing against the Super 73 or any of the other bikes. I mean, they're in it to make money, obviously, but for what they are, you really don't get what you pay for, because they're charging for like this configuration, you're gonna pay over 3 grand for it. You know what I mean? If you go with a Super 73 to get dual motors, dual batteries, and everything else. You know what I mean? When you could buy from the manufacturer and cut the middleman out and essentially get the same thing for $1,750. So it makes sense now. If it was just like a crappy clone or something like that, it's a different story, which I did get a few of those too as well, just to see how they were, and they were junk, of course. But this one and the YOLIN are the 2 best ones so far that I actually dealt with overall, as far as manufacturers, at least as far as this particular frame style bikes. And they've been pretty solid. The frame's pretty good. I mean, it's welded good, the thickness is right, the tubing's right. The other thing about this bike too is also where the headset is, and I know there's a lot of Chinese manufacturers, the tolerances are very loose and sloppy. So when you do any maneuvers and stuff like that, what will happen is you'll get clunking and stuff like that. This one doesn't have that problem. Tolerances are actually pretty good, and also the thickness of actually where the headset tube and everything else that connects to the frame is very thick and very robust. So I'm not worried about breaking this bike in half if I do jumps and stuff. Now, I'm not gonna ever do that to this bike because it's not for that, you know. It's not for off-roading, despite what other companies try to manufacture it as. It's more of a commuter, and that's exactly what it is. It's a commuter bike, you know. So we're gonna go ahead and go up on this trail, then you'll kind of have an idea too as well on how well the light actually performs and stuff like that. I gotta go over into this lane here, so make sure no cars are coming, and we'll go up back onto this trail again, and then you'll have a better idea of pretty much how well the light performs in nighttime riding and stuff like that. That's one thing about a lot of these e-bikes that have the round lights. The lights are not really that good, and you can only see the bridges and stuff like that once you get up and close. And if you're going fast, that's a problem, because you really need a bright light to see kind of what's in front of you and stuff. And we're going to pitch back right here, and you'll be able to see that, yeah, you can clearly see everything in front of you, no problem, which is good. And that's very important when you're going to higher speeds, of course, especially if you're doing a lot of turns and twists and stuff like that. It's like going downhill, for example. You got to be able to see, like, if anything pops out, any rocks, that kind of stuff in front of you, because if you hit one of those, well, then it means you're gonna wipe out, of course, and you know you don't want to wipe out. There you go, in front, you know, on there, because then you're gonna end up in the ER first. So having a good light at night is a must, because you want to be able to see, like, for example, this, you know, way ahead before you actually get to it, so you'll be able to control the bike easier. And you can see here I'm putting pressure on the brakes and not a single squeal on it. Like I said, as far as maneuverability and everything on this bike, it's great. It's better than I expected, to be honest with you. I'll probably in the video leave a link to where you can order this bike direct from the manufacturer, so you're not dealing with third-party seller. And usually the first time around, it'll probably take them a couple months or so to ship it out, because they got to build up trust with you. But after you order the first bike, it's about 20 days. And so far, the last couple bikes or so, they shipped it out within 20 days from China, which is very fast, actually. You know what I mean? So depends now too, because they also got COVID lockdowns and stuff like that. So I'm not sure exactly how it's gonna be now compared to how it was when I ordered this bike. It might change, so don't take my word for that, but we'll see. But overall, been a solid bike, at least as far as so far that I've been riding. I know my friends had those at 25 on his. He got the one, the dual Profane 750 watt motors, and it's been solid. No clicking sounds on the motor. Motor's held up, even though it's a Profane motor, but it's the real 750 Profane motors. So they've been holding up pretty well and stuff like that. And yeah, every once in a while you will have to maintenance these gear hub motors, because they do, either if you get the thing with the nylon gears or you even get the one with the metal gears, you'll have to of course clean out the grease and change the grease out every, you know, you should do it every like 2,000 miles or so forth, so that way you can get the best life out of it and you don't gotta worry about the gears cracking or wearing down faster than they should. So it's one of the things that with any gear hub motor, you just gotta take care of it pretty much. If you take care of it, it'll last you. But on the Super 73s, they did have a problem. That's why they got version 3 motor now out, where the gears themselves were wearing down and stuff like that, and you'll get the clicking sound. Next thing you know, your bike will barely want to move, or it'll want to move randomly like it'll catch, and sometimes it won't pretty much. And that has to do with the nylon planetary clutch system that they use in them. And maybe I'll tear down one of those motors to show you exactly how they're built and stuff like that once I get another one in, so you know how to actually repair it and stuff. And I have actually repaired a few of those motors for people because they didn't want to wait the several months to get a new motor. So I went ahead and upgrade the motor so it doesn't fail again with the metal gears and stuff like that. And one guy got to over 1,000 miles on that motor since doing that upgrade, and he hasn't had no problems, where when he originally got the bike, he only put like 100 miles on and it was already starting to click. So it just depends on what you do with the bike too. Also, if you're hard on them, well, obviously the nylon gears are not gonna hold up as well if you're riding them on the road. If you're riding them on the road, well then you really don't need the metal gears. But if you're doing any type of off-roading, it's gonna be a lot harder on the motor, of course. Also harder on the frame too. That's why I don't recommend these bikes for off-roading and stuff like that, because you can actually stress crack the frame and everything else too as well, which even is a problem with higher end bikes, you know, how higher end mountain bikes and stuff like that. You gotta check the frame, bottom bracket, the front tube, steering tube, then you gotta check the rear and stuff for cracks and stuff like that, because metal fatigues and over time it will crack, and the last thing you wanted to do is crack all the way while you're on your ride and you're face palming the ground pretty much, which is something you do not want to do, of course, because that means you're gonna be in the ER. So always check your frame regardless of what bike you get, whether you get a high-end one or a cheap one. It's just a good idea just to keep an eye on the frame anyway. But overall, you know, like you can see, it performed pretty well. Was able to get through a pitchback trail with no problems whatsoever. I didn't need no additional lights or, you know, center mounted lights or anything like that to get to a trail. Pretty much going at high speed, you know, at least for a bike. So you can easily do it if you got the right light. Now some of these round lights, like other Chinese bikes, they'll have these round lights, but they're not the halo type and they're really kind of crappy. So one guy actually got an accident because of it, because he went for the non-halo one, and unfortunately he couldn't see what was coming up in front of him. When he went under a tunnel and came out of the tunnel, he went ahead and almost hit something, did the mistake and hit the brakes and ended up on the ground, of course. So one reason why it's very important, get a good light, even if you gotta get a good aftermarket one and stuff like that, that's at least, you know, 1200 lumens or so in the real tow, because there's a lot of bullshit lights. Oh, my fault, I didn't pay attention. Yeah, I didn't see the arrow. Okay, now, because this light never has the actual, you know, walk sign and stuff like that. That's one thing you gotta do, you gotta pay attention. But overall, very good riding experience, very good brakes. And I mean, it's cold right now. It's like 30 degrees and stuff like that. And you know, you got condensation and stuff like that, and they're still not even screwing with most brakes. Pretty much will. And here we go. And we'll go this way instead, so we can kind of jump that little curve right there. And you can see there's a curve. And didn't even feel it. That's why I said I really do like this one. I actually liked it when my friend got it, because I rode his for a while, and that's what made me get this one. Was once I saw his and the quality of his, of course I had to buy one. And then of course another guy's actually gonna get one, but he's gonna get one with the longer seat. I'll probably do a review of that bike once it comes, because I'm gonna put it together for him, and we'll do a test ride on that one too as well. But it's pretty much the same motors and everything else, just different frame, but he has to get the longer seat one because he's 6'2", and being 6'2", he can't pedal the bike because he has to sit back further to actually be able to pedal a bike, and he wants the one with the longer seat, so that's what we're ordering pretty much. You can see here, only thing I can say as far as cons that I don't like about this bike, obviously the fenders suck. They're plastic fenders, you know what I mean? They don't rub or anything, they haven't rubbed or anything like that, but you know, they can kind of flap around in the wind and stuff like that. I would have preferred metal fenders, but thankfully they do got the holes for it, so I could actually probably buy a set of metal fenders and just change them out myself. So far they're doing a good job at least keeping the water off my back, because I have rode this in the rain once and it did actually push the water in the back, and none of the water got towards the rear of the bike, which is good, so it did the job. The front one, it was okay. So the fenders are kind of crap on it. Other than that, really ain't much else. I mean, the brakes are good, the ride's nice. The handlebar, probably would have preferred, and I might upgrade it to an actual real BMX handlebar style, because this one here hasn't really got a lot of room for accessories and stuff like that. With the real handlebars, you got a little bit more room, and you get the longer ones, of course, and stuff like that. But there's other options too. I might end up getting a front compartment, because they do have a front compartment for this that you can actually get, that's right in front of me, and you can unscrew that thing there and just replace it with an actual compartment type, so you can store stuff in, like tools and stuff like that, which I do want to carry, because it's a good idea always to carry a set of tools if you get it flat or whatever. You always want to have that on you. Sometimes I'll put it in the pannier bags and I'll just put them in the back, but it'll be nice to get that front compartment. I might upgrade the pedals the same thing like my other guy did with the flat pedals, so my foot can grip better, because it's nice where your foot doesn't slip or move when you're actually having to pedal this thing. These pedals here, yeah, they're not as bad as like some of the other ones, but they're not that great either, you know what I mean? I do like the flat pedals better myself, and I can understand why he upgraded, for probably the same reason why I'm gonna upgrade, so my foot don't slip when I actually gotta go and pedal hard, and I can stand up on them pretty much. But like I said, it's been so far pretty good. I'm gonna go and cross this intersection. I'll let this. Here you go. And overall, like I said, I wouldn't get like a Super 73 or any of those bikes, because essentially they're just overcharging you for it. When they charge you over $150 just for a small little display, not even a color one, and $1,200 for a battery, it's kind of ridiculous, to be honest, and especially when you overpaid for the bike already. So to me, it's just not worth it. The quality isn't there. It's about the same quality, you know what I mean? So, but I get why people like them. They do ride nice, you know what I mean? That's one thing about them I can say, and they do look nice. So yeah, a lot of people buy them just because the riding style and stuff like that, and they think it's a brand name because the marketing and all that other stuff. But the marketing also too is kind of false advertisement, because they go ahead and put on there like it's for off-roading, this and that. And there's videos on YouTube right now of one actually cracking in half when someone actually tried to do the tricks. You gotta remember, when you see those marketing ads, that they actually beef up the bike and stuff like that. It's not the same bike you're getting. They beef it up to do those stunts and stuff like that. So you don't want to go ahead and actually do that with your Super 73, of course. Otherwise, you end up destroying it and end up in the hospital. But this pretty much concludes the video, and I'll be doing other videos in the future, of course.